Now I'm an artist. When I made this shit, that shit was 4 years ago, 3 years ago. You gotta understand, niggas came up on Youngboy. My little brother and them, they love Youngboy. Like, diehard fan. So when a nigga see him painting his nail, it's like, damn. It's just like a normal, from a fan's point of view for a video, like, damn, look at bro, like, this ain't no beef. So when the niggas call me and hit me, when they in the city, they call me. Hey, bitch, we fucking with, what the hell, what's up with the video? I be a rapper with a lot like, yo, fuck y'all. Come on now. You know what I mean, nigga, you know how hot Youngboy was in at that time? You know what I mean, nigga would have ran with that narrative, try to drop a diss song and whoop. Nah, I ain't on that rap shit. Tell them straight up, nah, I mean, that shit was just a game. That shit was a joke. They was just fucking around. Nigga be dead wrong and sit here and lie like, bitch ass nigga. All you YB fans, you bitch ass nigga better block me today, nigga. This little bitch ass nigga on this whole painting his nail, doing all type of hoe shit, nigga. G Money been said you was a hoe, nigga. You get on that Fredo shit, nigga. Stamp you niggas. Nah, for real.
Montana 700 is now facing a situation that has left the entire New Dallas movement shook to its core and questioning everything they thought they knew about their own. Behind his tough street persona and all that Dallas bravado, Montana was running scared from NBA Youngboy's crew after an old video resurfaced that put him directly in 4KT's crosshairs. The shocking truth behind what brought this Dallas rapper to his knees is more complex and embarrassing than anyone imagined, and we're about to reveal it all, including the exact words that were said in that phone call that had Montana apologizing like his life depended on it. There's been rumors circulating that Montana 700 got physically checked by NBA Youngboy and his crew backstage at a Dallas show, that he got slapped up, that Say Cheese got the footage but won't release it. But yo, we about to separate the facts from the fiction, the real from the fake, because the truth is actually more embarrassing than any physical altercation could ever be. September 2025. That's the time frame that changed everything for Montana 700. This rising Dallas rapper was riding high with the new Dallas movement, getting booked for shows, building his brand, thinking he was untouchable in his own city when an old video from 2021 resurfaced that put him directly in NBA Youngboy's line of fire and showed the whole world what happens when internet tough guys meet real street consequences. Now hold up before y'all start thinking this was just some typical rap beef Twitter finger situation where artists go back and forth online for clout. Montana 700 was genuinely terrified when 4KT started reaching out to him, and I mean terrified to the point where he was making excuses faster than a kid caught stealing candy. But here's where it gets real spicy. This whole situation started over some comments Montana made when he wasn't even a rapper yet, just another fan with an opinion and a phone camera. So check it. 2021, NBA Youngboy was in what fans now call his experimental phase, painting his nails black, wearing eyeliner, really pushing boundaries with his image during the black ball era.
Was it face painting, doing your nail, painting your nails, and doing these different sort of style things? Like, what's inspired that to do those different things too?
The nails came after the face. I was just playing with my face, and I actually liked it. You should try it.
This was around the time when YB was dealing with house arrest, federal cases, and was expressing himself through this darker, more gothic aesthetic that had some of his fans confused and critics talking crazy. Montana 700, who was just a regular dude from Dallas at the time, not even thinking about rap seriously, was apparently one of those disappointed fans. He decided to go live on social media and share his thoughts, not knowing that this moment would come back to bite him years later when he actually became somebody in the rap game. In that now infamous video, Montana said, and I quote, "All you YB fans, you better block me today. This little dude painting his nails, doing all type of hoe stuff. G Money been said he wouldn't get on that Fredo Bang stuff." But it didn't stop there. Montana kept going, talking about how NBA Youngboy was acting like a female and how he was disappointed in his idol. That's some real disrespectful energy right there, especially coming from someone who claimed to be a fan and was bringing up YB's biggest enemies like G Money and Fredo Bang. Now, in the streets and in hip-hop culture, we know you don't disrespect someone's character like that, especially when you're talking about their appearance and comparing them to their enemies. That's crossing lines that can get you in real trouble. But Montana's situation was different because at the time, he was just speaking as a disappointed fan, not understanding the weight his words would carry years later when he became a public figure himself. The video showed Montana in his car, clearly heated, going on this whole rant about how NBA Youngboy had lost his way and was doing weird stuff for attention. He even said that if he ever met YB, he would tell him to his face that he was disappointed. Real tough talk from someone who would later be ducking phone calls and making excuses.
Bitch ass nigga. All you YB fans, you bitch ass nigga better block me today, nigga. This little bitch ass nigga on this whole painting his nail, doing all type of hoe shit, nigga. G Money been said you was a hoe, nigga. Finna get on that Fredo shit, nigga. Stamp you niggas. Nah, for real. My mama, brother, tell these niggas. Nigga, fuck Youngboy, nigga.
But yo, this is where the story gets deeper than just some old social media drama. See, that video sat dormant for years while Montana 700 built his career, became part of the new Dallas movement with Zillionaire, and started making real noise in the rap game. During this time, Montana was actually playing NBA Youngboy's music at his shows, rapping along to YB songs in the car with his crew, basically acting like that old video never existed. The new Dallas movement was gaining serious momentum. Montana 700 and Zillionaire were getting recognition, signing deals, and building a legitimate brand. Montana was talking about loyalty, authenticity, and keeping it real in his music, not knowing that his own past was about to expose him as anything but authentic. Fast forward to September 2025. Youngboy is on his massive Massa tour, and when he announced he was coming to Dallas, the internet started digging. You know how social media detectives work. They found that old Montana 700 video, and it started going viral again. But this time, it wasn't just random fans sharing it. Major hip-hop pages started posting it, and the comments were brutal. The real kicker, though, NBA Youngboy himself liked a post that was reposting Montana's old diss video. Now, for those who might not understand the significance of that, let me explain. When someone like NBA Youngboy, who rarely engages with drama online, who's been through federal cases and house arrest and has learned to move smart, likes a post calling out someone who dissed him, that's not just acknowledgement. That's a green light for his fans and his crew to take notice. That one, like from NBA Youngboy, set off a chain reaction. Suddenly, Montana 700's comments were flooded with snake emojis. 4KT fans were finding his address, his show dates, everything. The Slime Army, as YB's fans call themselves, had locked onto a target, and Montana 700 was about to learn what that really meant. Here's where the situation gets really interesting and shows the levels to this game. NBA Youngboy had been showing love to the new Dallas movement. He was even working with artists from the scene, including having Huncho Amir perform at his shows. Huncho Amir, who's tight with Montana 700, was getting opportunities because YB was supporting Dallas artists. The irony is thick. YB was supporting Dallas artists while one of their own had old footage dissing him floating around. But the real tea that got everybody shook was when Montana 700 received that phone call. According to sources close to the situation, OG33, who's been NBA Youngboy's longtime homie and part of the 4KT crew since the beginning, reached out to Montana directly about that old video. And let me tell y'all about OG33. This ain't just some random associate. This is someone who's been in the trenches with YB, who's been through the wars in Baton Rouge, who's seen bodies drop and cases get caught. When he calls, it's serious business. Now let's talk about what that phone call really meant. When 4KT calls you, that ain't no casual conversation about music or collaboration. These are the same people who've been through wars in Baton Rouge, who've stood by NBA Youngboy through federal cases, house arrest, and industry politics. These are people who've lost friends to the streets, who've been shot at, who've had their homes raided by the feds. When they call, you answer, and you better have the right energy. The conversation, according to multiple sources who were present, went something like this. OG33 called Montana and said, "Yo, what's this video about you dissing my brother?" Montana 700, according to multiple sources, immediately started making excuses. He told OG33 that the video was from years ago, before he was even a rapper, that he was just a fan expressing disappointment, that he actually loved and respected NBA Youngboy. Real talk, that's some real scared energy right there. The same Montana who was talking tough about painting nails and calling YB feminine was now ducking smoke harder than a civilian who accidentally walked into the wrong neighborhood. Sources say Montana was stuttering, apologizing, trying to explain himself like his life depended on it. But here's what makes this even more embarrassing. Montana kept emphasizing that he wasn't even a rapper when he made those comments, like that somehow made it less disrespectful. He was telling OG33, "Man, I was just a fan back then. I wasn't nobody. I didn't know better." That's basically admitting that now that he's somebody, he knows he can't talk like that, which makes the original comments even more cowardly. The street's been talking about how Montana kept emphasizing that he wasn't even a rapper when he made those comments, like that somehow made it less disrespectful. But here's the thing, in hip-hop culture, your words follow you regardless of when you said them or what your status was at the time. If anything, talking reckless when you're a nobody and then apologizing when you become somebody makes you look even worse. OG33, being the street politician that he is, let Montana know that NBA Youngboy was aware of the video, that the whole 4KT crew had seen it, and that they weren't happy about it. He told Montana that if he had something to say about YB, he should say it to his face, not on some old video when he thought nobody was watching. For those who know the culture, this situation represents something bigger than just one artist apologizing to another. This is about respect, about understanding that your words have consequences, and about how the internet never forgets. It's also about the different levels of street credibility and how quickly that can be exposed when real pressure is applied. Montana 700's response to that phone call showed exactly where his heart was at. Instead of standing on what he said or trying to address it man to man, he immediately went into damage control mode. Sources say he was telling OG33 that he actually respected NBA Youngboy, that he was a fan, that the whole thing was just a misunderstanding, that he would publicly apologize if necessary. But here's where it gets even more complex. The new Dallas movement that Montana 700 is part of has been built on authenticity, on keeping it real, on representing Dallas with pride and toughness. Montana's whole brand was about being a real street dude who came up from nothing and wasn't afraid of anybody. But when push came to shove with NBA Youngboy's crew, that tough Dallas energy disappeared real quick. The cultural translation here is important. In street politics and hip-hop, when you get checked by someone's crew and you immediately start apologizing and making excuses, that's seen as showing weakness. It doesn't matter if you're trying to be smart and avoid problems. The perception is that you folded under pressure, and in this culture, perception is reality.
Now I'm an artist. When I made this shit, that shit was 4 years ago, 3 years ago. You gotta understand, niggas came up on Youngboy. My little brother and them, they love Youngboy. Like, diehard fan. So when a nigga see him painting his nail, it's like, damn. It's just like a normal, from a fan's point of view, video, like, damn, look at bro, like, this ain't no beef. So when the niggas call me and hit me, when they in the city, they call me. Hey, bitch, we fucking with, what the hell, what's up with the video? I be a rapper with a lot like, yeah, fuck y'all. Come on now, you know how many niggas, you know how hot Youngboy was in at that time? You know how many niggas would have ran with that narrative, try to drop a diss song and whoop. Nah, I ain't on that rap shit. Tell them straight up, nah, I mean, that shit was just a game. That shit was a joke. They was just fucking around. Nigga be dead wrong and sit here and lie like.
What makes this situation even more interesting is how it exposes the different levels of the rap game. Montana 700 might be big in Dallas, might have a strong local following, might be getting booked for shows and making decent money, but when NBA Youngboy's name comes up, suddenly all that local clout doesn't mean much. It's like being the toughest guy in your neighborhood until you run into someone from a different level entirely. The phone call also revealed something about Montana's character that his fans probably didn't want to see. Here's someone who raps about loyalty, keeping it real, and standing on business, but when faced with real consequences for his words, he immediately started backtracking and making excuses. That's not the energy of someone who's really about that life. The real consequence of this situation isn't just about Montana 700's reputation taking a hit. It's about how one old video can completely shift the power dynamics in hip-hop and expose the difference between internet tough guys and people who are really about that life. NBA Youngboy didn't even have to respond directly. Just liking that post was enough to set everything in motion and show Montana exactly where he stood in the hierarchy. But let's talk about what this means for the new Dallas movement as a whole. Montana 700 is supposed to be one of the faces of this movement, someone who represents the city with pride and authenticity. When he gets exposed as someone who talks tough online but folds when real pressure is applied, that reflects on everybody associated with him. Zillionaire, Montana's partner in the new Dallas movement, found himself in an awkward position. Here's his business partner and friend getting exposed as someone who disrespected one of hip-hop's biggest stars and then apologized when confronted about it. That puts Zillionaire in a position where he has to either distance himself from Montana or risk being associated with someone who's been publicly humiliated. The situation also exposed something about social media culture and how people think they can say whatever they want without consequences. Montana 700 made those comments in 2021, thinking they would just disappear into the internet void, not understanding that everything is permanent and can be used against you later. This is a lesson for every aspiring artist or public figure. Your words will follow you, and you better be prepared to stand on them. What's even more embarrassing is how Montana tried to spin the situation after the phone call. Instead of just taking the L and moving on, he started doing interviews trying to explain himself, making the situation worse. He kept emphasizing that he was just a fan back then, that he didn't didn't know better, that he actually respects NBA Youngboy. Every explanation made him look weaker and more desperate. The hip-hop community's reaction was swift and brutal. Other artists started subtly distancing themselves from Montana, not wanting to be associated with someone who had been publicly checked and folded. Show promoters started having second thoughts about booking him, not wanting the drama that might come with NBA Youngboy's crew potentially showing up. His whole career trajectory changed because of one old video and one phone call. But here's what's really wild about this situation. It shows how NBA Youngboy's influence extends far beyond just music. He didn't have to make a diss track, didn't have to go on social media and respond, didn't have to do anything except like one post. That one action was enough to completely disrupt Montana 700's life and career. That's the kind of power that only comes from being genuinely respected and feared in the streets. The situation also highlighted the difference between regional success and national influence. Montana 700 might be known in Dallas, might have a strong local following, but NBA Youngboy is a global superstar with a fan base that will ride for him anywhere in the world. When those two levels collide, there's only one outcome. This whole situation is a perfect example of how social media has changed the game and created a false sense of security for people who think they can say whatever they want without consequences. Montana 700 made those comments thinking he was just another anonymous fan expressing his opinion, not realizing that those words would come back to haunt him when he became a public figure. The timing of everything couldn't have been worse for Montana. Just as he was building momentum with the new Dallas movement, just as he was starting to get recognition outside of Dallas, this old video surfaces and completely derails his progress. It's like watching someone climb a mountain for years only to slip and fall right before reaching the summit. What makes this even more tragic is that Montana 700 actually had talent and was building something legitimate. His music was connecting with people, his brand was growing, and he was starting to get opportunities that could have changed his life. But all of that got overshadowed by some comments he made years ago when he was nobody. The situation also shows how unforgiving hip-hop culture can be. There's no statute of limitations on disrespect, no expiration date on your words. What you said 5 years ago can destroy what you're building today, especially if you said it about the wrong person. NBA Youngboy's handling of the situation was masterful from a strategic standpoint. He didn't give Montana the satisfaction of a direct response, didn't elevate him by acknowledging him publicly, but still made it clear that the disrespect was noted and wouldn't be tolerated. That one like was more devastating than any diss track could have been. The phone call from OG33 was also perfectly calculated. Instead of NBA Youngboy himself calling, which would have given Montana something to brag about, he had his lieutenant handle it. That sends a message that Montana isn't even important enough for YB to deal with directly, but the disrespect still needs to be addressed. For Montana 700, this situation became a nightmare that he couldn't wake up from. Every interview he did trying to explain himself made it worse. Every apology made him look weaker. Every excuse made him seem less authentic. He was trapped in a cycle where anything he said or did just dug the hole deeper. The new Dallas movement, which had been gaining momentum and respect, suddenly found itself associated with someone who had been publicly humiliated. Other artists in the movement had to decide whether to distance themselves from Montana or risk being dragged down with him. At the end of the day, Montana 700's situation isn't just about some old comments he made about nail polish or NBA Youngboy's appearance. It's about respect, consequences, and understanding that in hip-hop, your words can literally put you in danger years later. The fact that he immediately started apologizing and making excuses when 4KT reached out shows that all that tough talk was just for the cameras and social media likes. This whole ordeal exposed Montana as someone who talks tough when he thinks nobody important is listening, but folds immediately when faced with real consequences. That's not the energy of someone who's really about that life, and in hip-hop culture, authenticity is everything. Once you're exposed as fake, it's almost impossible to recover. The real question is, what does this mean for Montana 700's career and the new Dallas movement going forward? When you get publicly checked by NBA Youngboy's crew and your response is to duck smoke and apologize, that changes how people see you in this culture. It changes how other artists view you, how promoters book you, how fans respect you. Montana's attempts to explain himself only made things worse. Every interview where he tried to justify his comments or explain that he was just a fan back then made him look more desperate and less authentic. He would have been better off just taking the L and moving on, but his ego wouldn't let him do that. The situation also serves as a cautionary tale for anyone trying to build a career in hip-hop or any public-facing industry. Your words matter, your past matters, and the internet never forgets. What you think is just casual conversation or expressing your opinion can come back to destroy everything you've worked to build. NBA Youngboy, through this whole situation, showed why he's at the level he's at. He didn't need to respond directly, didn't need to make a big scene, didn't need to do anything except let his presence be felt. That one like on that post was more powerful than any diss track, any social media rant, any public confrontation. It showed the difference between someone who has real power and someone who just talks about having power. For the New Dallas movement, this situation was a setback that they're still trying to recover from. Having one of your main representatives get exposed as someone who folds under pressure doesn't look good for the whole collective. It raises questions about the authenticity of the entire movement and whether they're really about what they rap about. The phone call with OG33 will probably haunt Montana 700 for the rest of his career. Every time someone wants to question his authenticity or toughness, they'll bring up how he apologized and made excuses when 4KT called. That's the kind of reputation that follows you forever in this culture. This whole situation is a perfect example of how hip-hop politics work and how quickly things can change. One day you're building a career and gaining respect, the next day you're apologizing to someone's crew and trying to explain away your past comments. The game is unforgiving, and Montana 700 learned that the hard way. What are your thoughts on Montana 700's situation and how he handled getting checked by 4KT? Do you think he was smart to apologize and avoid problems, or should he have stood on what he said even if it meant facing consequences? Do you think this situation permanently damaged his credibility, or can he recover from this? Share your thoughts in the comments and let me know if y'all want more breakdowns of these behind-the-scenes hip-hop situations that show how real street politics work in the industry. The streets are watching, and in this case, Montana 700 learned the hard way that NBA Youngboy's reach extends far beyond just music. When 4KT calls, you better have the right answer ready, and I was just a fan ain't gonna cut it when you're trying to be taken seriously as an artist yourself.